like something that you would be interested in. And I said, well, tell me more about it. And she told me more about it. I said, yeah, it's starting to be up my alley. And I met a friend who was a member, and the rest is history. So what keeps me
Wow.
involved? For me, it's the but like I said in my introduction, I love all things positive. It's saying that what you do every day as Zonta affects someone's life. So what do I mean when I say that? I could remember, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, we were doing a program in the Angliston area. We were at Aaron Bailey High School. Oh, it's the Workforce Readiness Program. And while we were preparing and getting all the things sorted out to start our first day, a lady came to one of the classrooms and she just stood by the door. And I said, hi. I said, morning, how are you? She said, I'm fine. And I didn't quite know why she was standing there. So after about maybe 2 minutes, I said, darling, you want to say something? And she said, yes. So I just want to say, and I pause right here because every time I think about this particular story and many stories like this, I tend to get emotional. She said, you see this workforce readiness program which y'all run it? About 5 years ago, I was a part of it. So I didn't have any, qualifications. I was just out of school. And as a result of me getting involved with the workforce readiness, getting some skills to enter the workplace, I was able to get a job and advance myself as a female. And I
Wow.
just want you to know that what you are doing in the club is doing matter. And that's like one of many stories that I can tell. Is knowing that it's not there in the ethos. It's
Right.
here. It's
Right.
something that you can see every day. You touch lives every day. I could go into countless situations where persons would come and said, hey, you helped me. And as we go on into the show, I would talk about our various programs where we assist women across the board, regardless of what their situations are. But I will hand over to Marisa.
Thank you so very much. When I came home from England, some 20 years ago, I was invited to attend a Zonta meeting. And of course, Zonta membership, you through invitation. And I got to learn more about it and their mission and their vision. And I said, wow, this is just what I need. And what keeps me motivated and keeps me in it is the fact that it advances the status of women in all areas of their lives. The various programs and initiatives that we run, as President Janet spoke about, the Job Readiness Program, where we run that for unemployed women and women who are unemployable. And we give them the skills and we provide them the opportunities to upgrade themselves so that they can become employable to take care of their families. We all know that when a woman can take care of herself and her family, that's one less stress, burden, and sometimes abusive relationship that we have been able to mitigate. Also, the fact that we've been able to launch our University of the Bahamas program, an endowment fund, where we have been able to educate at least 10 women in our nation with
Wow.
bachelor's degrees. And these are women who are first time degree holders in their entire family, in their generation.
Wow.
And being able to mentor them, coach them, and to see them succeed and now giving back. And these are women who are from the Family Islands. Some of them are from the Family Islands. And another is just the community outreach, where we've been able to partner with the Department of Social Services, the ministry, really, Department of Gender and Family Affairs, to establish some gender-based violence consults in the Family Islands to help them become aware of the signs of violence and how to speak out and how to deal and address these issues. So I mean, there are so many other areas, and of course, it's 16 days of activism where we really go into communities and creating webinars and helping people understand why we should say no to violence in all its forms. And so, through our healthy relationship programs, through our various programs from the primary school up, we are finding that it's making a difference and impact by helping people understand that violence in all its forms is unacceptable.
That's amazing. I found it so amazing what Miss McKinsey mentioned, President McKinsey mentioned about her daughter. So,
Yes.
you're
And a
impactful.
little child shall lead them.
I'm telling you, I'm like, my eyes open. Like the daughter went home and told the mother, and then the mother joined as a result of the testimony of the daughter. That speaks volume. That
And
speaks
I
volume.
want to add to that, and that is why even in our messaging and teaching the primary school children that violence and the sciences to look at what violence may be, they are able to go home and tell their parents what they see
Exactly.
is wrong. And we've had testimonies where parents have come and said, my son or my daughter told me I shouldn't scream, I shouldn't say this to them. And so again, the work we do is all inclusive. And we do not leave our men and boys out either.
That's like, I mean, that's a compounding effect. I mean, you're
Yes.
taking it from both ends. You're attacking the parents and you're attacking the children. And when those two come together in a collision of, just sharing of ideas, and I mean, that's amazing. Kudos to Zonta, for even thinking about a double approach. Because sometimes, we we take it from the top, leave the bottom out, or take it from the bottom, leave the top out. So you have a two-pronged approach. So congratulations in that respect. So just talking about Zonta, Zonta has been around for a while, and I want you to dive very quickly into the program. I see this popping orange, Marissa in the background, and I said Zonta says no
No.
against violence. Tell us why the program started, when it started, and why it started. What's the aim and the objective of this program? Either one of you can take that question.
Marisa, I'll let you start off. I'll get the last two questions.
Okay. I also want to acknowledge Miss Jewel Edwards, who has been our representative in Eleuthera and has started a very vibrant Zonta Drive campaign in Eleuthera, and they're going wild, and they're always been
Wow.
a part of what we do. And so we're also in Abaco as well, and we're reaching out as much as we can as well. But Zonta, Zonta, the 16 days of activism comes from the United Nations, one of their governance that they have shared around the world. So it's a UN initiative.
Okay.
And so every year from the 25th of November to the 10th of December, which ends Human Rights Day, those 16 days are there to create and heighten the awareness of why we say no to violence in all its forms. When we look at violence, and according to statistics, 1 in every 3 women are killed as a result of intimate partner relationships. The research also shows that every 10 minutes, a woman is killed. When we look at women around the world, we know that women in most cases, carry the family. And so when a woman is taken away from her children, do you know what social norms and issues and challenges that leads in the family? And so the United Nations, in accordance with UNICEF and Unite Women, we all bind together and we partner through the campaign. Zonta is the only NGO that sits at the United Nations, has a seat at the United Nations.
Good
And we are very
information.
grateful for that opportunity. And I sit as the UN advocacy chair for this region, for this area. And I can assure you that the work that we do is significant. They always like to hear the work of what Zonta does in the Bahamas. And a lot of them have taken our ideas as well because we've been all inclusive from the top to the bottom. Mrs. Anne Marie Davis. I must acknowledge her even in her absence here today, of her involvement with us about 15 years ago when we started. Even when the present government was in opposition, she was always an advocate of violence against women and girls. And subsequently, we have had Mrs. Patricia Minnis involved as well, because it's important to acknowledge that we are not a political affiliation with anybody. And so this is a national call to action. No excuse for abuse. And so we don't know what abuse looks like, and we don't know where it comes from. It can start from Lightfoot Key to the next end of this island, anywhere. And so we've seen persons being abused at all levels. So the whole thing is to create the awareness, educate our women, and also to say no to violence. So we stand on the protocols and of even the SDG goals that have been established. Number 5, that we are saying no to violence in all its forms. Yes. So it's a United Nations initiative of which we are part of.
You shared a lot of big rock kind of information there. I did not know that Zonta had any association in terms of the UN. So to be seated at that high level, much respect to Zonta. So good information that you have shared. So you talk about saying no to Zonta stands against violence with respect to women. In terms of your organization, someone might want to know, are only women a part of Zonta? There might be some, we might think it's basic question, but I'm sure every time we have new listeners. So who qualified to join Zonta and to join with you in saying no against violence against, women? Who qualifies to join for Zonta?
Zonta, we are an organization that believes in diversity. There is a few things that we require. And when I'm selling a pitch, let me use that term, for persons to join Zonta, I usually use 3 terms.
Okay.
Your time, your treasure, and your talent.
That's biblical. You coming straight from the Bible.
Time, treasure, talent.
Yes.
It takes a lot of time. If you are devoted and committed to what we do, there are going to be times that you're going to find yourself spending hours and hours on a project that is important to what we do. Treasure for sure. Nothing happens without money. Nothing.
Absolutely.
We can say that we can start some stuff, but to get the best advantage of it, it has a money component. Yes. So that's the time, that's your treasure. And your talent, whatever that gift is that God has placed in you, we would love to have that in Zonta. So some people, they have the gift of being an accountant. That surely could be used. You may have a graphic artist, everything today is flyers and sending out stuff. So that is important. You may have the gift of gab. Some people, they're automatic, excellent public speakers.
Yeah, y'all have some of them in that club.
Definitely.
A lot of them. I'm not going in. I'm
not blessed to be one of them, but God is working on me.
I know. Hey, wink, wink. If you said you're not one of them, there's only one other person, but I'm not pointing at anybody else.
You're a smart woman. You're a smart woman.
But what I also believe is, even through coming into the club, I believe that iron sharpens iron.
Iron, absolutely. You're not doing bad.
And if you're in an environment of positive women or positive people in general, something can rub off.
Absolutely.
Something has to rub off.
Yeah, no, that's
I want to say that most recently in a Zonta international membership, the extension is now for men to join.
Men. Come on now.
For men to join Zonta. And so we've always have them as partners, but now extending them membership is something that we are now concluding you know, but men sometimes, you know, they don't want to be around all these women all the time. But the
They say do
membership
not
is
have them
now
in
being
their home.
extended to them
No,
because
man, it's extended for sure.
Mhm.
I attended our international conference in Australia a few months ago. That was in June. And it was refreshing to see the men that were a part of Zonta internationally. And also we have, you know, going with the whole United Nations, there's a he for she. So if you don't want to be a member, your choice, but you can be a voice, you
Okay.
know, and that is what needs to happen because what we are trying to do is to ensure that everybody understands that it is not one gender against another. It's
Yes.
about human rights, and
We're not
every
competing.
individual in this world deserve human rights,
Absolutely.
regardless
No
of gender.
competition here. There's no competition. I
and
love
No
that.
and
competition.
what I want to add to that, Madam President, is the fact that violence has no color, no
No.
boundary,
No
or,
size.
or no status. And so
Yes.
when we look at the different types of violence, you're talking about sexual,
uh,
physical, psychological,
Psychological.
emotional, and economic, we
Hmm.
have to address men and women because men are not only the perpetrators of violence.
Absolutely.
Women are
Totally
Sometimes
agree.
also
they're the victim.
perpetrators of violence. And we
Absolutely.
need to help train our women and help them know how to respect their men as well, how
Absolutely.
to
Yes.
deal with that because it takes two. And so this is not, we're not just saying, women, you're all right. Because as you notice, as you can recall earlier this week or late last week, a lady was sentenced to prison for being untruthful against her partner in a situation on gender-based violence. That this
Mhm.
gentleman, I think he lost his job and everything, and coming to find out she pleaded guilty that she was not honest coming forward, wasted the police time, the court's time and everything. So again, you know, we must be honest because and we must deal with this with a degree of intelligence and understanding that when you are not honest against someone, you destroy someone's life, their character.
Character.
And so through Zonta, we aim to educate and heighten the awareness because one death lost,
One
one
too
life
many.
lost is one too many.
Yes, it is.
All right. That's a mouthful. That is very true. Honesty is always and still remains the best policy. And for Zonta to be holding up honesty, that's commendable. So we going back to this whole thing about violence. You're wearing your popping orange. Is that orange? Yes, that is orange. Lipstick, even like it's matching that t-shirt. So you're popping. Tell us what kind of popping activities that you are having. You started this year ending in December. What type of activities you've had to support this whole agenda, and what type of activities remain outstanding?
So just yesterday, we were in the Port Charlotte community. So traditionally, for maybe over 15 years, we would go into a community during the 16 days of activism. And what is our purpose there? So our purpose there is to spread the word about saying no to violence in any
Mm.
form. So we were in Fort Charlotte yesterday. We spent the day with that community, just sharing various aspects of saying no to violence, just bringing the community together to understand that violence should not happen. It should not be tolerated. We were supported by the member of parliament there, uh, um, Minister Sayers,
Okay.
and the
Alfred
community was out. It was
says.
it, and if I would describe it for you, it's more of like an event, more like a fair with a
Okay.
focus.
All
So we
right.
also were supported by the public hospital authority that came and did blood pressure checks and
That's important.
glucose testing. You know, we have to make sure
Health.
that we are healthy enough to carry out the work as individuals. We also had the Urban Renewal Band, and it's
Oh, good.
always a pleasure to see the young people come around and they graced us with beautiful music. We had Marisa, please help me because at this point I forgot the name of the hearing impaired group.
Yes, it was the Fort Charlotte Hearing Impaired group. They
Right.
did an awesome job. in sign language, and the
Wow.
beautiful music. And then we had the
The walk
Jungle
in my
Rush out at
shoes.
the end.
And don't forget
And
the walk in my shoes
and
segment.
yes, and we each year, well, let's go back. We were honored that Mrs. Anne Marie Davis was also present, and she brought remarks to support the work that we've done. And she, like I said earlier, she's always been. And part of the work we've done as part of our 16 days is to walk in our shoes. And it's a 10-minute stand moment of silence for women who have lost their lives to violence, women and girls, children. And we line up all the shoes on an orange sheet, and we show the shoes are empty shoes, but there's no feet in those shoes. And they were the lives of persons lost. And so we use that symbolically to say that we don't want another pair of shoe added to this that no feet are in. And then
Sobering. That's sobering.
Yes.
it is usually, and then we usually have a moment of silence. And of course, as you're aware, most recently we lost beautiful little girl, and of course a lady just the other day. And so we had a moment of silence for them and all victims of violence. And again, we continue our work through training and development through our webinars. This year, we are working with the Public Hospital Authority, where we want to acknowledge and recognize the first responders
Yes.
in the public health authority. They're the ones who go to the crime scenes. They're the ones who have to deal with all of these murders. And so we wanted to say thank you to them by recognizing them. And that date is coming soon. And we're also having several other webinars
Webinars.
to heighten the awareness through saying no to violence, to help persons understand the mental side. And our webinars are going to focus on the economic side, the health and wellness side. We're seeing increase in suicides. We're seeing
Suicide
increase in
attempts.
mental breakdowns. Persons are struggling financially. So Zonta seeks to advance the status of people. And so our focus is going to be in these areas to help give people the tips from healthcare professionals in our country.
Wow, that's a mouthful. I always think about the first responders when there is an incident of violence, the trauma that they must take home to their families. So I commend you for recognizing their work and for offering support to them, because that violence, you know how they say violence spreads, that it doesn't just impact one person. It's just a compounding effect throughout our island. So I mean, I think I stand with you, like Dave said, against violence against women, but all people. Violence and it's total from total.
Yes. I also want to say too, we'll be focusing on bullying and incest.
Yes.
A conversation we don't like to talk about.
Absolutely.
But these are some of the areas that we will be addressing.
Sometimes when we hear the word bullying, we tend to only associate it to our young people.
Yeah.
But we know that it's more than just that. We have workforce bullying.
Absolutely.
We have adults that do it every
absolutely
day. But sometimes we tend to only think about our little ones.
Schools.
But it extends further.
No, and I totally agree with you. You're onto something there, because actually a lot of parents teach their children to be bullies. They get it from the parents. And sometimes, the parents is embarrassed when they're called in, and they're like, I don't know where the child got that from.
You know where I think it comes from, Jackie and Guest. It comes from a place of not having those tools to work with.
Yes.
Sometimes I only can use what I have, or what my mommy did it, and this one did it, and that one did it, and they ain't ever killed them. But is it right? Is it correct? So just giving people some tools to work with when certain circumstances come into play, that they would make more positive decisions. Because one of the things I was always taught is you cannot stop what someone says to you, but you control the action.
Your response to it. Yes.
So your response to it is clearly up to you. But what
Yes.
they say to you, it's on them.
On them. On and always, you know, I always said, like, to the person who is violent, that violence, because what you sow, that's the principle. What you sow, you reap. Right. So
Mhm.
that's why it is important for us to understand, appreciate, not to respond in kind, because we would be then reaping, bringing that same havoc on our lives. So, so glad to hear that Zonta is head deep in this whole issue of trying to address and eradicate violence in our society. I know our time is fast moving, and we have some persons in our Zoom room that probably want to ask a question. So please, if you have a question for our guest, we don't want to close the show. We have about 10 more minutes due to another
Time
show.
went
So is
very
there
quickly.
anybody else want to?
I want to also say to the listening audience that if you are in a toxic and unhealthy relationships,
Yes.
there is help for you.
Yes.
There are opportunities for you to reach out to the crisis center, to your police force, to your pastor, to a trusted friend. I mean, there are persons who can help you, and you do not have to suffer in silence. One of the things we need to get past the shame blame game. If
Yes.
you are in an unhealthy relationship, Zonta works very hard in helping persons understand how to have a healthy relationships, how to maintain them. And so, like I said earlier, we start from the primary school up, and we go through communities, elevating this message that if you're in a toxic relationship, there are ways to get out, there are ways to do with it. But if you are unemployed, and of course, you know, there are limited shelters, limited spaces for you to go, you have to plan that exit. And according to the research, it takes a woman about almost 10 times to make up her mind to leave
I
a
heard that.
toxic relationship. So
Unbelievable.
again, that strategy's off air when we do have a webinar.
You ever know? Okay, so we've had some feedback in the chat. Here's the person bold, strong, courageous, but they don't want to speak. They're asking their question in their chat. The question for you lovely ladies, whether there is a center, a Zonta meeting place in the Eastern District of our island. Is there? So just tell us where are the meeting centers, as opposed to just talking about East. Yes,
Okay.
highlight East, but just let us know where we can find Zonta.
Because I was busy typing the response, so I'll say it. So we have two Zonta clubs in the Bahamas. We have the Zonta Club of Nassau and the Zonta Club of New Providence. For the Zonta clubs, once you Google them, you can go onto our Facebook page. You can send us a message, and our team from our membership team will contact you, and it'll go from there.
Oh, okay. So go on Facebook and just send a message.
So
Yeah, we do not have a building as yet.
Yes, we don't have a physical location.
Okay.
We are still trusting God for that breakthrough.
Yes.
So where do you meet? Where do you have your meetings?
We have meetings at designated places. It moves around depending on what it is.
Okay.
And of course, you know, since the pandemic, most of our meetings are between online and face-to-face.
Oh, I love that. I could join if you have online and face-to-face.
Yes.
It was honorable.
You still have to come to that face. Nothing replaces face-to-face. I'm telling you.
No, I agree.
I
totally agree with you. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yes, but we're ready for you, ma'am. But I wanted to say there are some vulnerable groups in our community that we must pay attention to, who are suffering from gender-based violence.
Right.
Persons with disabilities.
Yes.
Elderly people.
Totally agree.
A lot of times we're not paying attention, but our elderly people are being abused. We have young people who are being abused, older people who are vulnerable groups. And again, people who have mental illnesses, you know, persons who are disabled. And these are the communities we are also reaching out. And I want to say that this year and last year, we've partnered with the disability group where we've provided mammograms for these women, because we realize that many times they cannot afford it. And so we were able to provide mammograms, free mammograms to the vulnerable groups in our community. And of course, we had to work with the doctors in order to get the machines to reach a certain height and all of that. And so we feel that all women should be inclusive. All groups should have their annual mammograms.
Totally agree. I think there was another question in the chat. Any chapters in the East? If not, how does one go about joining and opening one? What are the prerequisites to join Zonta? Is there any specific thing that you need to have? Be on a particular type of job, be a certain age? What's the prerequisite?
So the time, talent, and treasure definitely is one of them. And once you come in, we normally have an information section. And in our information section, we will go through what Zonta is all about, what you as a member would be responsible for, and we give you a period where you are a part of the various activities that we have before joining. So it's like you get your feet wet, you come to the meetings, you support the events, you get all into it. And then after 3 months, normally 3 months, 3 to 5 months, once we see that your interest is there, we will welcome you as a member.
Do you have to be employed, or it doesn't matter, employed or not employed, or you have to be?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think you have to be employed, but you must know what your responsibilities are and be able to live up to your responsibilities as a member. And then, of course, if you're in a situation that you may not feel, I'm not completely ready to join, listen, partnership is so important. So we will not outrightly say no to anyone.
Okay. That's good to hear. So I want to say once again, I mean, she has this chat lit right up. Shout out to Miss Jewel Edwards. Your worker on the Family Island. She's obviously an avid supporter. I think I saw a couple of comments coming from a gentleman, someone saying, I'm glad you're getting gentlemen involved. I'm sure I saw feedback somewhere. Yes. So good work, great feedback. So we have a couple more minutes time. We have about 5 more minutes. So I'm going to give both of you your last closing statements. Tell us what you want, the last thing you would like to leave on our listening air.
So for me, definitely continue to work with us, partner with us, and understand that we cannot do this alone.
Yes.
And that being said, we have a number of events that Marisa has told you about during our 16 days of activism. But there's one event that I just want to bring attention to that was not mentioned, and that is our wine dinner. So why wine dinner? I mean, like, that sounds like some fun stuff. No, that's actually our work. So our wine dinner is an event where we have a dinner and there's pairings of wine with the dinner. What is most, and I repeat, what is most important about this wine dinner is the monies that are raised from this wine dinner is used for our various projects, including our endowment at the University of Bahamas. Remember earlier, Marisa spoke about, we have given 10 women bachelor's degrees. It also helps with our BTVI. We also have a program at BTVI, helps us with our workforce readiness program. There are so many things that it helps us with. So I encourage you, anyone who's on, tell your family and your friends. Anyone need a ticket, please come and purchase a ticket. If you don't want to purchase a ticket, well, of course, donations always help, because like I said before, and I'm going to go biblical again, money answered all things.
But President Janet McKinsey, you spoke about the dinner, you spoke about the wine, you told us nothing about the price. I'm afraid that this price of this ticket might be out there. So
listen. What it is value for money, because you're serving, you're purchasing not only a ticket or a dinner,
right,
but you're supporting a cause.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like you're gonna whisper out the price are up.
I can tell you the price of the tickets are $225.
Okay.
If you've ever been to a hotel for dinner, you know that you could barely get a dinner, 5-course meal for $100.
Yes, I
So
agree.
you can imagine that with wine pairings.
Okay. All right.
But we
220.
know for us, this is what we use to really help those persons in our community. There are so many other projects that we didn't even touch on. We did a Save the Life campaign where we provided ports for women with breast cancer who could not afford port to get their chemotherapy.
Much needed.
Much
Greatly
needed.
needed. Yes, greatly
Much needed.
Mhm.
You know, we have a
Great work.
program, our PEAK project, where we at the Willamette Pratt School, where we go there for a period of time for like 3 months, and we work with those young ladies, teaching them, you know, different stuff, financial literacy, interviewing skills, dream boards, you
Also,
know,
literacy as well as numeracy.
numeracy, definitely.
And we've been able they have been able to get BJCs and
Yes, that's
BGCSEs
my success story. I so love
successful.
that.
Yes, that they have been successful for the first time. These women, young girls, have
Yes,
been able to achieve BJCs and BGCSEs. So whenever they leave their facility, they will have some basic education.
yes,
And Madam President, I can just add that we're also working with the correctional
Department of Corrections, yes.
institution as well, with the women there in the prison. We want to give them skills. We want to work with them, and so that whenever they leave, they have some skills to take back into community. And so we're working closely. We're looking for partners. We're looking for persons who might say, you know what, I have an extra $100,000 sitting down
Yes,
doing
Lord, call
nothing.
it in, call
Let
it
me
in,
send it
call
to
it in.
Zonta. And we're looking for partners because this is what it's all about. And we partner with other NGOs. So I want to say that if you know of persons who are in abusive relationships, speak to them, refer them, make sure they get the help. Do not allow them to stay in that relationship knowing that they are being abused. And, you know, you don't know what you will hear one day. And so the thing is, it's okay sometimes to just get out for a while, get the conflict resolved, deal with it. And if you have to return, you do that. But do not let another person suffer in violence. There's no excuse for abuse. That's the message.
No excuse for abuse. That's a
No
good way.
excuse for abuse. So
I
before
love
we
that
end, I
purpose.
just want to share some numbers with you.
Sure, go right ahead.
Some contact information. We have the Crisis Center and 322-4999. We also have the Child Abuse Hotline, 322-2763. And we have the Youth Help Hotline, and that is 322-4763. And in Grand Bahama, 351-7763. And we also have Turks and Caicos, our sister, 2649 is their area code, 232-6696. In addition, the Police Domestic Violence Unit, 302-8387 and 302-8452. I'll also type them in the chat.
Yes, please do that Dave, I know another group is waiting to get in. So I'm turning it over to you as she types it in the chat. Thank you so much and have a beautiful Sunday.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to thank those of you,
Thank you.
Janet McKenzie and Mercer Smith. We will be on Zoom for another 15 minutes. So persons, once we sign off the radio, they want to still ask you some questions or share some comments. That opportunity is provided. Want to remind you, coming up next, Mr. Independent Talks with Kareem Hanchel. Let's talk business. Today, there's the Inspiration and Concert at the Living Faith Seventh Adventist Church. You can go down. It's actually free. It starts at 5 p.m. And next week, Siobhan Hollis, she's an advocate for children. She'll be our guest next week. You've been listening to the program Transforming Lives on Global 99.5, Cable TV 974, Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. We are here every Sunday, 4 to 5. I noticed Brother Pucci, Yannick, part of a special group. We call ourselves Friends in Christ. Thank you very much. This wonderful Sunday afternoon. Transforming Lives, Global 99.5. Have a wonderful afternoon. Okay, if anyone else want to open up the mic and share, they can. Be off the radio, but they can still share on Zoom. We'll be here for another but 15 minutes if they want to share anything else or ask a question. Okay, my folks, you're still here. If you want to, you can ask any question. You want to make any comments, anything, then you have a few minutes, you can do that. I guess so. So nobody wants to say nothing. So we'll just close out the Zoom room then.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for your time and your support.
Yes,
Have a
thank you
blessed
so
Sunday.
much for this opportunity. Have a good evening and follow us. Keep your areas orange. Orange is the color of life. And so we want you to wear your orange every Friday, decorate your offices, and orange is the color until December 10th. Thank you.
Thank you so very much to our guests, and do have a beautiful Sunday.